समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
I'm taking a deep breath and daring to delve into the Rajesh Exports Limited story. You are familiar with this. This has been buzzing now for a couple of days, and large figures are being mentioned. Large figures, this reminds me of the era of the 2G scam, coal scam. Nothing was less than a few lakh crores. So if 2G scam was 1.76 lakh crores, allegedly, coal was some 3 lakh crores. In this case, the figures you've seen is 15,000 crores or $158 billion. Since this has got onto social media, even sort of people who carry some weight, they also don't like the government, they carry some weight, they've been saying it's a 15,000 crore scam or a $158 billion scam, or that 158 billions have been claimed as fake exports by an Indian company. So this amount, it's a very large amount, this amount should be taken out of India's trade, India's exports, and thereby India's trade deficit will look that much worse. Now, what do we have as evidence? What we have as evidence is this 109-page report given by SEBI, written by its whole-time member Kamlesh Chandra Varshney. It's a very well-written report, very succinct with many graphics. So basically, I'm making use of this report. You've rarely seen me with something with these stickers, but that's what we have done. And my challenge also is not to go into so much detail that it takes an hour of your time, plus gets you confused and definitely gets me confused. So let me limit myself to some specifics. First of all, I will tell you that there is a problem. There is a problem, at least allegedly, or if this report by SEBI is correct, this investigation is correct, and a lot of the facts in this investigation tell you that there is a lot here that does not pass what is called the smell test. It definitely doesn't. At least corporate governance seems to be short, and it also looks like claims have been made to drive up the share price. So more and more shareholders have come in, and the share price has reached a certain level. After which, like Mount Kilimanjaro, it has collapsed. I will take you through that as we go along. It's been in this process at some point of time that Life Insurance Corporation of India, which should have experts, which should have access to a lot of information, they've also invested in this company. Their investments right now amount to about 10%, over 10% in this company, which is very significant, because if your shareholding goes above 10% under Indian law, then you get special powers and rights in a company as a shareholder above 10% shareholding. That's why many of the owners keep all the others, many of the founders keep all the others limited to below 10%, because 10% and above gives them special rights. So LIC has these special rights. How come it did not find out the stuff that SEBI has found out? And SEBI has found it out because a shareholder complained to SEBI in 2024 that there was stock manipulation and there were some issues going on with this company. That's why we have this report. This report is well written. There are graphics in the report, many of which we will share as we talk. So first of all, I've told you there are issues. There are alleged scandals. There are facts here which need refutation by the company, which at least SEBI says they've not been able to do, or they've not been willing to do. It looks quite bad. So this is all a bloody mess. That is one fact. The second fact is what it isn't. What it isn't is a 15,000 crore scam. It isn't a $158 billion scam. There is hera-fairy there, but it's not a scam. I will take you through that also. What it is, on the other hand, is a manipulation or something, or an alleged manipulation. I have to be careful at this point because this is only a SEBI preliminary report. It can go to the Securities Appellate tribunal, it can go to court. There are many processes which can still happen. This is not a final conviction by a court of law. However, looking at this, you can see that one, the company has messed up its accounts. It has not followed, allegedly again, any accounting standards. Second, there are lots of related party transactions. So in many cases, hundreds of crores have moved from the company to the promoter Rajesh Mehta, from the company to his son Siddharth Mehta. They've also been paid back. Large amounts have been paid back for no real explanation. And net, it looks like the company has been the loser. This is not something that was disclosed either to the shareholders or to the board, or no disclosures were made anywhere, which is quite odd for a publicly listed company. So first of all, let's understand what this company is. See this graphic, and we've taken this graphic from the SEBI report. It's quite well done. So the parent company is Rajesh Exports Limited. Then it has a subsidiary in Singapore called REL Singapore Private Limited. The promoters say that this company in Singapore was not meant to do any business. This was just meant to be a platform through which they could invest into other subsidiaries. So there are subsidiaries, then there are step-down subsidiaries. So this is a subsidiary. A step-down subsidiary from this is a jewelry business in Dubai called Babel Ryan Jewelry LLC. That's in Dubai. That is 100% owned by REL Singapore, which is 100% owned by REL in India, now in Bengaluru. Similarly, REL, Rajesh Exports Limited, henceforth we'll call it REL, also owns a subsidiary called ACC Energy Storage Private Limited, which said it will make lithium-ion batteries, for which it also became an applicant to Government of India under the PLI scheme, because Government of India is giving PLI incentives to those companies that make lithium-ion batteries. So they are applicants there also. Then the company has another subsidiary, and that is a key subsidiary. That is Global Gold Refineries AG. Global Gold Refineries is owned 95% by REL Singapore Private Limited, which is a subsidiary of Rajesh Exports Limited, and 5% directly by Rajesh Exports Limited. So effectively, it becomes a step-down subsidiary. Under Global Gold Refineries is another company that it acquired called Valcambi SA. Valcambi SA is a Swiss company which in turn founded Valcambi USA, which is supposedly just a minor trading company or to manage the brand and businesses in America, with no real businesses under this. And Valcambi USA was dissolved in 2023. That's the complex structure. When you see structures like this and you see monies and claims moving between them, then regulators go at them with a microscope, which in this case Mr. Varshney has done. Then we come to how we arrive at these numbers. If you look at revenue from operations as claimed by the company, the revenue from operations, in this case, I'm confining myself from 2020-21 to 24-25. Later, I will tell you a factoid going up to 25-26 also, but 2021 to 24-25. If you see total sales consolidated, that is the mother company or the father company or the parent company, and all these subsidiaries and step-down subsidiaries put together, then the company has claimed that their sales were, see this chart on your screens, this is table number 2 in the SEBI report. This adds up over 5 years, this adds up to 15,44,899 crores. In 5 years, they say that is their sales or their turnover. This sounds very impressive in the share market. People might think, fantastic, these people have a lot of business. But you see one more number under that, which is purchase. And that adds up to 15,43,533 crores. What do? One is your purchase price, the second is your sales realization. So your profit then will be sales minus purchase, and that comes to 1,366 crores. That is the profit over these years. Now remember, this is a company dealing with gold. If it's indeed the business is to buy gold, convert it into bars, coins, whatever, put a hallmark or put put the name of the brand that is going to sell it or the bank that's going to sell it, and that gain that little arbitrage. If you see this purchase and sales amount, this difference sounds like it could be plausible. This is like the profit which comes from arbitrage. If this is the only profit, this company, if the shareholders knew this well, then this company probably would not have reached such valuations. It's reached a valuation of 30,000 crore plus on 6th of February 2023. That was the peak. Right now, it's down to about 2,900 crores, which means the company has had a valuation loss of nearly 28,000 crores, which is definitely a loss for the shareholders, including LIC. Now, SEBI says that look, you have some businesses in your parent company and you have other businesses in your subsidiaries. You are not stating your accounts separately. So you have these transactions going on in your subsidiaries, buy gold, sell gold. That is not very profitable. That's a bit like if you look at this phone. Suppose I import this phone for 1 lakh rupees and I sell it for 1 lakh 2,000 rupees, right? I made a profit of 2,000 and I can say that my turnover is 1 lakh 2,000, but basically it's based on 1 lakh that I've already spent on importing it. That's how this gold business has been. So SEBI's point is that you've been carrying out these businesses supposedly in your subsidiaries, but you are not separating your accounts. You are giving everybody the impression that this is your real business and this is your turnover. When they add up all of the revenue that the company has earned on its own, the parent company has earned, and they deduct that against what's been earned by the subsidiaries. If you take the entire company's turnover, that is including the subsidiaries, and from that deduct the small amount that the company itself has earned in India. So check out table 5. That gives us a better idea. Table 5 tells you what is the consolidated revenue of the entire company with subsidiaries and step down subsidiaries. That, as I told you, up to 2024, 5 from 2021 in 5 years is 15 lakh 44,899 crores. The standalone revenue of the basic company in India is only 26,486 crores, where also ultimately the SEBI report goes on to say that you've shown some transactions to make it look like you have a lot of business, that is giving money, or at least saying that I gave money to such and such company. Then later you claim that you've taken that money back. That company, Affluence Private Limited, in fact says that no such transaction has taken place and there are no banking records available showing such a transaction. That is to inflate your own turnover, or allegedly. But even with that allegedly inflated turnover, the basic company's turnover is only 26,486 crores. So total turnover or total sales 15,44,899 crores. उसमें से minus किया, you deduct from that 26,486, which is the claimed revenue or sales of REL, the basic company, the mother company or the parent company, sorry. Then the difference comes to 15,18,413 crores. SEBI says that's the amount by which you inflated your performance. You did not tell shareholders that this is just gold in and gold out, even if it was gold in and gold out, although SEBI says we don't particularly have any evidence that such transactions have taken place. They are not saying any money has been stolen. They are saying this gave the impression that the company was booming, it was doing an enormous amount of business, and its business claim was inflated allegedly by 15.15 lakh crores. That's about $158 billion today. 15.15 lakh crores. Actually, to be very precise, I can tell you to the last decimal point, 15 lakh 15,385 crores. That SEBI says has been listed as revenue. That's a difference between the revenue listed against subsidiaries and step down subsidiaries and the parent company, minus the parent company, which is infinitesimal, only at 26,486. So what's missing in this picture in the accounting is 15 lakh 15,000 crore 385, which is not the company's income. This is not money that's been stolen or that's been lost. More complex questions, however, arise as you read the report in detail. over some other issues to do with corporate governance, accounting, etc. So this is money. That money never came in. That money never went out. Nobody has stolen that money. India hasn't lost that money. This trade wasn't booked on India's books. This trade does not go out of India's books because in any case, if you do jewelry business, what counts is your net exports, which means you can buy diamonds, you can import diamonds, gold, silver, whatever. Then you export it after either cutting and polishing these diamonds or setting them into jewelry or hallmarking gold or turning gold into jewelry. Then you get value for what additional work you've done on material you had imported. It is that value add that is your income. It's not that I bought gold worth 100 crores, I exported gold worth 101 crores, so my turnover is 101 crores. No, your turnover is 1 crore. At least that is what you should be telling the shareholder. Now, I can understand ordinary shareholders getting fooled by this because in share market, when something's going up, nobody wants to miss out. Everybody has FOMO, and now you have the era of influencers, people who get onto Instagram and places, you buy this, you buy that. They may not even say buy this particular share because they're afraid of SEBI, but they can push you in certain directions. And those who want their share prices up or those who want to bring down somebody's share prices can also employ these influencers. SEBI has been trying very hard to control them or regulate them. However, these games are still being played. In 2003, 4, 5, it was maybe easier. I'm not saying any of that happened. All I'm telling you is that SEBI is saying that these turnover figures, the subsidiaries turnover figures, which are never submitted to audit in India, which have not been shared with SEBI. In fact, even with SEBI, the company Valcambi, which REL claims was doing their main business, does not show particular business. It is, if anything, Global Gold Refineries, GGRAG, which might have been carrying out this gold refining or gold packaging or gold hallmarking or brand marking work. But even that does not have data that they've shared or at least adequately with SEBI, and that is what SEBI's complaint is. So once again, as I said when I was starting, I was taking a deep breath. You also take a deep breath. Remember, 15 lakh 18,000 crores has not been stolen. Just as in 2G scam, 1,76,000 crores had not been stolen. Yet, just like 2G scam, there is something wrong. In 2G scam, I will tell you what was wrong. What was wrong was that government said spectrum will be given free, it will not be sold, and it will be allocated on first come, first served basis, FCFS. But that FCFS was not followed. It looks like some people were queued, allegedly, because those charged in that case have been acquitted. Allegedly, some people were tipped off in consideration, allegedly, for something, and they got ahead of the others in the queue and got their licenses. So if there was a scam in 2G, it was that. Similarly, in this case, the scam is not 15 lakh 18,000 crores or 158 billion stolen. I know that makes a great headline. The scam, if anything, is misrepresentation, overstatement of the company's business, which drove companies' share prices up, as a consequence of which people saw, "Arey Baba, ye to upar ja rahi hai, isme jao," right? More and more people came into this, and they lost their money because, after all, if 28,000 crores of value has been wiped out in this company from the peak, a lot of the independent shareholders, non-promoter shareholders, have lost their money, including, very surprisingly, Life Insurance Corporation of India. They should have known better. They are the big daddies in the stock market. They know everything. They know everything. They have among the largest purchase books. They have probably the largest portfolio in India. For them to get this wrong is something that needs some explaining. They are not talking to anybody in the media, which is odd because they are now a listed company. At some point, they'll be called out. They will have to speak about it. I told you that I will tell you a little factoid as we go along. This 15 lakh 44,000 crores, which is supposedly the sales of these companies, all these companies together, the parent companies, subsidiaries, step down subsidiaries, I'm sounding like a stuck record. That was 15 lakh 44,000 plus something crores. That was up to 2024-25. But if you also go up to 2025-26, that is table number 1 in the SEBI report, that figure becomes much higher. That figure then becomes 23,87,939 crores. Once again, that is the claimed sales. That is not claimed profits. That money has not been taken from anybody. That money has not been given to anybody. If anything, the worst case scenario alleged is that these have been shown as sales to confuse the shareholder into believing that this company is booming. This has such a big business. So if anything, it is an alleged accounting fix. I have to be very careful because this story will stay in litigation for a very long time. So if anything, this is an accounting fix to pad up your books, and pad up like how? Pad up allegedly by $158 plus billion. In fact, if you take it forward to 2025-26, then it will become maybe $200 billion plus. All of that is notional figures on a balance sheet. No money in, no money out. Now a few more issues arise, and I will share a link of the full report with you. You can check it out. First of all, importantly, check out this graphic. This graphic tells you the SEBI whole-time member, Mr. Varshney, he's drawn a graphic for you of the share price. And as I told you, it's like Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. It goes up like this, it comes down like this. So you can see that. And then SEBI has made an estimation of how much of this nearly 28,000 crores has been lost to outside minority shareholders. And that amount, according to SEBI's calculation, is upwards of 12,000 crores. That means about $1.5 billion, not small change. That the rest goes to maybe institutional investors, etc., and definitely to the promoters. Now, a couple of other things come up as you read this report, and I will mention them sort of in the passing without going into too much detail, because that is what SEBI has held forth on. So number one, they've said that, look, you've claimed all this turnover, whereas the fact is that the operations of your main company, they are less than 1% of your overall turnover. In 2021-22, subsidiaries and step downs are 99.2% of the entire turnover. Next year 97.43, next year 98.30, then 98.08, 98.34, 98.82, again 99. So in general, the main company in India for which accounts are available is about 1% of the entire turnover. This SEBI says that if 99% of your turnover or sales are in your subsidiaries and step down subsidiaries, how come you're not willing to give us any accounts of that? They say that the company says that we can't give you more details of our operations in Switzerland because of a law called Swiss Federal Act on Data Protection, FADP. Under that law, we cannot give you any details of businesses being run by our subsidiaries in Switzerland. SEBI has rejected that with arguments, with details on the law, also many citings. And SEBI says we find it untenable, this idea that Valcambi was just doing a little bit of value addition, and GGR, that is Global Gold Refinery, they were only earning transaction and processing charges. If all of that was happening, then from where has all this turnover come? Unless this turnover is not genuine, they are not saying it, I'm interpreting it. SEBI has just said they find these claims untenable, and they say, and GGR, if anything, SEBI says, recognized incorrectly market value of goods as revenue. That is market value of gold as revenue. आपने 100 रुपए का गोल्ड लिया, 100 रुपए का 101 का बेच दिया, आपने बोला मेरा रेवेन्यू हो गया. Revenue is only 1 rupee. But if GGR was so stupid to have done it, or if they did it deliberately, either way, this was misleading for the shareholder. That is what SEBI's remit is. SEBI's remit is not to find any lost taxes or any lost revenues. SEBI's remit is to look after shareholder interest. And SEBI says, prima facie, all these claims are internally inconsistent, commercially implausible, unsupported by verifiable records. So once again, I'm listing some of the things that the SEBI says. Number one, 97 to 99% of the revenue is for subsidiaries for which accounts are not available. Company has failed to give details. Valcambi SA, which is supposedly the principal operating entity, has nominal standalone revenue, barring a little bit of processing charges, and GGR's revenue is inflated and unaudited. These are the issues that SEBI has picked up at the corporate level. Now, there are some other issues. For example, there are transactions that the company has claimed between themselves and a company called Affluence. That transaction, you will see the figure on your screen, that transaction is upwards of 11,000 crores. 11,487 crores were deposited, the company claims, with Affluence, and Affluence paid them back 11,488 crores. For that, SEBI found no records in banking transactions, and Affluence said that transaction never took place. Now they say we gave this money to Affluence and then we got that money back from Affluence. Affluence has told SEBI no such transaction has taken place. We've taken no such money. We've given back no such money. SEBI also says that they checked the bank records. There are no such banking transactions. So SEBI suggests in its report that this is just a way of bumping up your turnover, to say that I have so much business because I've given so much money to this to buy something, then I've so and so has given me so much money to purchase something. The company hasn't lost any money, but maybe the shareholder has, because shareholders been given the impression the company has so much business which actually it does not have. Similarly, there are cases where SEBI says that the company has given money to Rajesh Mehta and his son Siddharth Mehta, and they've also been giving money back. Now, first of all, they say, how come you've done it without any disclosure? You are promoters of the company. There are other shareholders. You've put nothing on the record. You've signed no agreements. You've just taken this money and given most of it back. But yet all of it is not gone back. In case of Rajesh Mehta, there is a deficit of 106.39 crores. Siddharth Mehta, 15.46 crores. These two tables we are taking from the SEBI report. SEBI also says that if anything, this large amount of money going into promoters' accounts for this period also brings them a very sizable interest income, which should have belonged to the company and all shareholders. Now, the Mehtas have given SEBI some explanation. They said they wanted to put this money here because they did not want to disclose the route from where they were going to make further investments, etc., etc. SEBI does not find any of that convincing at all. Since we are talking about related party transactions, in one more case, it looks like a certain amount of money, say 7 crore 45 lakhs, was transferred by REL to Mr. Rajesh Mehta, who then gave it to Affluence. That is established. He gave it to Affluence to trade in gold derivatives on his personal account. Of that, he returned 3 crore 94,000, 35,510 back to the company because he lost money. He lost more than 3 crores in this gold derivatives trade. That loss, happily, allegedly, he passed on to the company while he was playing the gold derivative markets on his own account. There is one more story that comes up at some point, which is very interesting. Many of these factoids or suggestions in the SEBI report require more investigation. For example, the SEBI member says, Mr. Varshney says, I further note that REL subsequently clarified the alleged realization of rupees 1367 crores and 1547 crores were not through banking channels but were allegedly settled through supplies of gold. Then he's not been able to find where that gold is. How has that gold come? And then he says, they say many of these settlements were done over the phone. These transactions were over the phone. This, by the way, is not talking about Affluence. These are other companies because there are many other transactions like these. These are not in lakhs of crores, but thousands of crores also is not small change. Under other non-current investments, the company, the SEBI report says, they list 1,035.27 crores as on March 31, 2023, and REL told NSE that this pertained to investment in gold mines in Africa. SEBI says they found no evidence of such gold mines. These are only some of the highlights that I've picked up. So once again, This is not a case where $158 billion have been stolen or 15,15,000 crores have been stolen and it punches a big hole in India's trade balance. No, that's not true. At the same time, what SEBI is saying is that probably this figure was used to impress shareholders and the markets into believing that the company had such a big business when it did not, because if anything, this was just purchase of precious metals and their resale after adding a little bit of value. So turnover or the earning should have been that add-on value. At the same time, SEBI has found many things which raise very severe questions on corporate governance or also on related party transactions and also on some of these amounts which have gone here and there. For example, a smaller amount in gold derivatives trading and a much larger amount in the supposed purchase of that gold mine. So where is that gold mine? Many of these questions will come up when this story unravels going ahead.